Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Swipe up, episode 196 is the episode of the show where I share my opinions on current events, whether you like it or not. If you don't, then just skip it. Don't watch, turn it off, don't subscribe. I don't know what to tell you, but just don't cry about it in my comments. I'm not going to stop. You're not going to change my opinions. I don't want to hear from you. But people just continuously, they just can't handle it. Can't handle my opinions. I'm sorry. Start your own podcast. But let's get it started, shall we? With this first post, some science going on in the world. The James Webb Telescope has started taking pictures of the universe into deep space, and this is the first image that it took, which it was described to me by a scientist on TikTok that what we see here, the reason why a lot of these stars are like arced, or these universes, or these solar systems are like arced in that way, is because of time-space and how it bends time and space, and how actually this telescope is pointed at what is a natural telescope within the sky. It almost looks like a lens that you're looking through, that like light distortion where the things are arced and curved, and that allows us to see. We're basically pointing a telescope into the eyepiece of another natural telescope out in space, and we're able to see even farther because of that. And because it is a natural telescope, the edges of that telescope, you see it arced. Like when you see a fisheye lens, you see a fisheye lens, everything gets distorted and warped around the edges. And that's what this is kind of showing us right there. Pretty amazing. I wish I knew the details of it more. And considering the survival of humanity on this planet is slowly like crumbling apart in slow motion, it's interesting that we're getting to see deeper and deeper into space, seeing basically back in time in a lot of ways. It's interesting that there's still progression of science going on around us, despite the fact that reality and the planet is destroying itself in a lot of ways. But an amazing piece of science here. And the other photos that have come out have been even more gorgeous. Like, it is so amazingly gorgeous how beautiful everything is in the world as it exists around us. Let's take a little break from the Ray Taylor Show to promote my live art streams. That's right, I am an artist as well as a podcaster, and I paint live every Thursday at 4:20 Pacific time. Head on over, the best place ever for streaming, youtube.com/inspired disorder. That's right, every Thursday at 4:20, you can watch me paint the many faces. Every week, I paint 7 new faces of abstract portraits, ink on paper, and you can watch that happen. You can hang out with me while I listen to a classic episode from one of my favorite podcasts. Head on over to youtube.com/inspired disorder and check it out. Say hi, let's hang out, let's have some fun, and let's paint some faces. Now let's get back to the show, but let's move on. Let's move on to the disgusting aspects of reality, the disgusting aspects of policing in this world and mass shootings in this world. Obviously, we're all familiar with the Uvalde shooting. Let me play this video. This is the video that came out. I'm sure everybody's seen it. The security camera footage from the Uvalde school. We get to see the police. We get to see how it all started with the car getting in an accident, people going to help out and then getting shot at, so they ran away. We get to see the shooter walking into the school itself with his legally purchased assault rifle, his legally purchased tool for ending life, to assassinate and slaughter massive amounts of children effortlessly, this tool that is easily accessible and legal for children to buy. We get to see him walk in, and then we get to see what the cops did. Now, one part of this video that's edited, there's a little editor's note that pops up, is that it edits out the screaming, which I find to be a little bit disingenuous, right? I think we need to hear, obviously it's horrific. Obviously it's horrific. But it would be exponentially more horrific if we see these cops who are just standing around, fucking around on their phones, getting hand sanitizer, checking updates on their Punisher logo phone, all of this nonsense that they're doing to not stop this tragedy. All of these standing around just uselessness these cops are. If we could see that while we also hear what they heard, because they weren't just standing around doing that in a quiet hallway. They were standing around doing that with people dying and screaming. And we found out today, as I record this, that there were close to 400 police officers on the scene. These are police officers that are helping the shooter in every way by keeping parents out, by keeping all of the people that want to stop this tragedy away from the shooter, right? They gave that shooter a solid hour to slaughter those kids. The police did. The police helped the shooter slaughter the kids. They kept him away from everybody. No distractions for an hour so he can slaughter the kids. Police armed, body armor, shields, 400 of them deep, doing everything to help the shooter be not disturbed, to be undisturbed while he slaughters kids. Meanwhile, they can hear all these cops that are just standing around. They can hear death happening. They can hear children being just leaving this existence because they've been torn apart by bullets. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting. And the fact that they took out that audio makes it more palatable. Oh, we can't offend. We don't want to be offensive. It's offensive that look how much, I want to know how much the government, how much taxpayer money went to all of these police officers that just did nothing for an hour. They showed up 3 minutes after that kid showed up. 3 minutes. It took them an hour to do anything. Right? What's the payroll for that hour of them standing around literally doing nothing but playing around on their phones, sanitizing their hands? There's a picture that was circulating of a guy just laughing about something. Like, they need to release this video with the audio. I think, like, even the fact that there's no audio is them still hiding. I mean, I think it was the news organization that did it, but it's still, you don't get that full effect. We don't get the full story. Imagine how much more deplorable it would be if we could hear what the police heard as they stood there doing nothing, as they stood there nonchalantly, casually hanging out in the hallway. Right? There are two cops that went to go see what happened. The guy opened fire, and they ran away. They couldn't run away faster. The only thing that would have helped them get out of that situation faster if they weren't such fat fucks. Like, if the police department had some kind of fitness quota where police officers had to be actual physically fit to do their job, those two cops would have ran away faster. But they couldn't get away any faster than their fat asses could. And I'm fat shaming cops. I'm fat myself, but I've never let children and teachers die while I was at work. Nobody's died on my watch. Not that I've ever been a cop. Not that I ever would be. Because it's a job that shouldn't exist. Because it's clear that the police have no problem executing men, women, and children unarmed regularly. But when it comes to actually doing something good, when it comes to actually stopping a terrorist attack, they would rather play around on their phones, sanitize their hands, and just collect their paycheck for an hour, helping out some other shooter. Well, just, they're already there. Why bother them? Why bother the shooter? And anytime it's a white terrorist, a white nationalist terrorist, they bust white nationalists in the back of a U-Haul. They're always super nice, showing all kinds of restraint when it's a white terrorist. But anytime they have any kind of melanin content in their skin, just no problem. Just like guns, nothing. Doesn't have to be armed. We don't care. Oh, what age are they? It doesn't matter. We're livestock. We are livestock. The police are prison guards. We're not free in this country. Meanwhile, these people getting tax dollars, constantly getting raises, constantly getting new equipment. Imagine our country if we took the money that we waste on police that do nothing. They're horrible at solving crimes. They don't stop crimes. They don't stop mass shootings. They don't do anything. They are dangerous to the existence of human life in this country. They are a bigger threat than foreign terrorists are in this country. They don't even have a job that's more dangerous than delivery drivers. If you deliver pizza, you are more likely to die in the job than you are if you are a cop. It's bullshit. Imagine if we took their money and funded schools, paid teachers amazing salaries, got all of the books and learning materials needed for schools, upgraded schools with proper HVAC, proper ventilation so viruses like COVID don't decimate populations. They don't kill people. They don't kill teachers. Imagine the world we would live in if we had taken all of that money, similarly to the military, if we took all of that money that this country generates and wastes on military spending and police spending, and we actually put even a fraction of that. First, we could cut taxes way down because it would only take a small fraction of that to offer benefits and services to real people, to homeless people, to hungry people, to people that need to be educated. We could live in an amazing society, right? Where crime would go down because there wouldn't be people desperate to survive. We wouldn't be living in worlds where people are profiting off of slave labor in prisons. But no, they keep funding the police. They keep funding the military. There's always money for death. Always money for death in this country. So anyway, absolutely disgusting. And I'm sure it's worse with audio, right? I'm sure the audio, not only are we hearing the kids and the teachers dying, but we're also hearing whatever the fuck these cops are joking about and talking about that probably does not pertain at all. And I saw somebody try and defend the guy who looks at his phone that has the wallpaper of the Punisher skull on it. It's like, oh, he's probably getting crucial information. As if police officers don't already have radios. Like, he's probably, whatever update, it's probably like lunch break time. Like, he's probably pissed that he's missing his lunch break. He was looking to go to Fuddruckers or something like that. Now he's got to pretend to care about all these people that are dying. He's got to stand around for an hour. His feet are probably hurting him. Like, every single one of these police officers is vastly overweight. It's just, I don't know. It's disgusting. It's ridiculous. None of them should have jobs. None of them. The majority of them should be in prison somewhere because they aided in the slaughter of those children. They physically kept parents out of that school. They kept people from intervening with their buddy, the shooter, from going in and stopping him. The police were on the side of the shooter for an hour straight. And all they're doing is making excuses and trying to cover it up. And it's disgusting. And it's a waste of it's a waste of life. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of resources. It's a waste. All right, let's move on to another video. This crazy PSA that went out in New York of what to do if there is a nuclear attack. Which, from what I've seen, the mayor of New York is stupid. Like, he is like really dumb. All of his solutions for things is really dumb. Like, they couldn't hire lifeguards for the coast, so they decided to fund PSAs for like drowning, the dangers of drowning, as if people don't know about drowning. Like, knowing about drowning does not stop people from drowning. Like, everybody that goes around water is aware that they can. I mean, that's one of the fears why people don't even begin to swim. But like, there's a need for lifeguards, right? If you get stuck in a riptide, if you're injured, if you get tired and just can't, you get stuck in the waves and you just can't. There's a lot of reasons why people that understand drowning exist, like, will need a lifeguard. There's like a lot of reasons why people that know how to swim would need a lifeguard. It's just stupid. It's just like the dumbest solution to an answer. So because of his stupidity, I think that is what contributed to this PSA being made and released. I mean, it's probably scary, especially if you live in New York. Obviously, it's possible. There are countries that have nuclear weapons, and of course, the East Coast, anywhere around D.C., New York, big cities are a target. And it's interesting to see what the PSA would be about, staying safe. Like, get inside fast, close all the doors, close all the windows, get all of the radioactive dust off of you. Like, if there was a nuclear explosion in California, like L.A., right? I'm east of L.A., couple hours. There's mountain ranges in the way. I don't know how protected I would be, but my studio is not the most airtight place, not the best ventilation. I would be pretty fucked if there was any kind. I mean, I would hope to be at ground zero. Truthfully and honestly, if there was a nuclear attack and that was the reality all of a sudden I was thrust into, whereas all of a sudden the U.S. is, and, it'd probably be the end of times anyway because the U.S. would retaliate. I mean, you look at simulation, you watch movies, and it's not a good situation. Like, the U.S. just wouldn't twiddle their... I mean, they might. There's certain presidents that would definitely twiddle their thumbs why nuclear bomb would hit a major city in the U.S., but I would hope to be at ground zero. Like, I just don't want to exist in that world. I mean, post-apocalyptic movies are fun and all, but, I'm not a big fan of the current existence as is. Just the slow degradation into that kind of a life is not as fun as it would be to just be thrust into it. But yeah, it's kind of a weird thing, a weird situation this world is living in where PSAs. I mean, we have flooding, we have fires, we have an attempted coup. We could be living. We could have, if Trump was successful, we would be living in the first dictatorship of the United States. Democracy would be dead currently, if not for a few good cops. Like, there are a few good apples in an entire system of terrorists There were a few terrorists that actually did the right thing on January 6th and saved democracy, which we might just be back in a couple years. But yeah, it's a crazy time we're living in. Let's take a little break from the show to promote The Many Faces. That's right, I am also an artist. I do ink paintings on paper of abstract faces. A new face, a new painting gets released every single day over at inspireddisorder.com. So head on over to my website to purchase original artwork directly from the artist. Also, there are prints available for select images. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com, buy original art, buy prints if that's your jam, if you want 8x10 prints on high quality paper. Also, if you're looking to wear some art, there are shirts available with original artwork by myself. Select faces from The Many Faces are also available in t-shirt form. You go to inspireddisorder.com, you buy original artwork, you buy prints, you buy shirts. You're supporting an artist directly. And if you're the type of person that likes to invest in NFTs, there are also NFTs available for select faces. Go to inspireddisorder.com now. And now let's get back to the show. Let's move on. And even more to emphasize the crazy time we're living in. Apparently, Winnie the Pooh has become public domain. And because of that, there is a horror movie coming out called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. And the trailer is wacky. If you look up the trailer, it is definitely something I want to watch. You know, it's it definitely looks low budget. It doesn't look like a great movie, but definitely looks disturbing. It's like this big guy, like this giant guy, tall, large in stature, like with fat guy, not buff guy. It's not a professional wrestler type of a guy. It's more of a Uvalde police officer type of a build, and wearing a disturbing looking Winnie the Pooh mask. Obviously, if you're watching this, you can see it in the background here. But yeah, Winnie the Pooh. Like, now that that's public domain, which I wish Disney would be held to the same standards as the rest of the creative world. I mean, the majority of Disney properties would be public domain at some point, but because Disney has so much money and they contribute to politicians and they, anybody with money doesn't really have to play by rules, we would eventually be able to get really interesting, like, Aladdin movies and Mickey Mouse movies and Marvel movies. Like, all these characters that are Disney properties eventually would become public domain if Disney wasn't just the largest media company that gobbles up everything, and then anything that's not G-rated gets buried. But things like Winnie the Pooh that do become public domain, it's interesting. It's very interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. There's also the trailer for, which I didn't put on here, the Rob Zombie trailer for The Munsters came out, and that looks bad. That looks like it had the same budget as this movie, actually, in a lot of ways. But interesting. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Munsters movie by Rob Zombie finds some niche audience and really becomes celebrated. I could see that happening. But yeah, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, kind of looks wacky. It looks dark, which, if I'm in the mood for, I'll watch it. Right? If Halloween comes around, I subscribe to Shudder for a month again. If it's on Shudder, I'm watching it. Are you kidding me? I'm watching it. But yeah, definitely weird. And I'd be interested to see other properties in time that come out and to see the horror version of them. But anyway, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Check it out. Let's do some shout-outs and get out of here, shall we? Shout-out to JamesWebb_NASA. Shout-out Your Rights Camp. Shout-out Now This News. And shout-out Slash Film. But most importantly, shout-out to you. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.